guys, welcome to my Ocean One channel. Let's get the YouTube disclaimers out of the way to keep me out of YouTube jail. None of my content or statements constitutes professional advice. Viewers that follow any statements, content, suggestions of this channel do so at their own risk because you are responsible for your own actions. And of course, that's the way that it has to be. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, I got to ask on StockTwits, how do we survive? Because I had made a post saying, everything that we do from this point forward should simply be about survival. And, they asked me, they said, well, how do we survive? And that's anyone's guess, okay? I'm just one person trying to do my part. And that's why I started the channel, trying to get accurate information out for the company and the product. But, at the end of the day, what can we do as, let me adjust this just a little bit. What can we do as Ocean One owners and possibly shareholders, to help the company? At this point, not much. I mean, really, let's just be honest. There's just not much that we can do other than to get accurate information out. And what I would like to see Fisker do is address this head on. And Fisker seems to be terribly quiet. And, I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing. I have no idea. So what I did is I put together 6 things that I thought Fisker could do to address this. Now, I've done other videos, okay, and I have different ideas. It just kind of depends on, the approach that you are taking. What I would like to see is I would like to see Fisker avoid Chapter 7. Chapter 7, it's over. I would also like to see Fisker avoid Chapter 11. Chapter 11, most likely, it's over for the shareholders, most likely. You just never know with Chapter 11, but most likely it's over for the shareholders. And, so if you eliminate those 2 things, where does that leave us? That leaves us with Fisker addressing the problem head on. And I would like to see, the bigwigs of the company out making statements, and addressing this head on. I actually did a video yesterday, of how people could get better response on being able to purchase a Fisker Ocean. And, you can watch that video if you haven't, if you were having trouble with the website. Okay, so let's get right into the 6 things that I told this person that I think would help us survive. The first thing that I think we have to get out of the way is the elephant in the room, and I think that's the note holder. First of all, I think the note holder owns us, and I think we all know that, okay? I think everything that we do from this point forward pretty much has to be allowed by the note holder. So what is the note holder's intentions? I wish that Fisker could make us aware of that. Maybe they're negotiating with the note holder. Just not sure about that. But I think at the end of the day, the note holder is calling the shots here in the sense that, how does Fisker proceed? Because we are in default with the note holder. Now, I don't know exactly what changed once we went to the OTC. Now, I'm speculating here. I am speculating that the dilution is over from the note holder's perspective since we went to the OTC. Now, I can't be 100% sure about that, okay? So that's just my thoughts reading into it. We are in default with the note holder. What's going to happen going forward, I think, is going to be determined by the note holder to a large degree. So I think the first thing we need to realize is that the note holder allows us to proceed. Maybe they're telling us how to proceed. I don't know. Okay, pure speculation on my part. Maybe they're not. Maybe they just want their money back. Maybe they want Fisker to survive and to continue. Maybe they just want all of this to be over and, go their separate ways. I simply don't know. But I think the first thing that Fisker needs to address is the note holder and how do we work with the note holder. How is the note holder working with Fisker? I think that's step 1. I think step 2 is we raise money. Now, obviously, we're raising money from selling of Oceans, but, we're selling those at a pretty big discount. So, that's not sustainable going forward, but that may allow us to fight another day. And so selling those Oceans is, of course, our first best weapon to raising cash. Now, once we get past the fire sale, as I like to call it, what do we do then? Well, I think Fisker would be looking at a couple options if the note holder would allow it. Maybe we could raise money privately. Maybe we could raise money collectively, okay? And maybe we could raise money with a buyer, a potential buyer that comes in. So I think those three things are potential ways to raise money for Fisker. Maybe all three of them, work. And I don't know exactly how much money it would take for Fisker to be considered back on financial footing and get through this mess, because we have to find a way for Fisker to have any long-term success at all. We have to find a way for Fisker to be able to restart production. So, we have several doors there that we're probably trying to open, or, maybe I should say Fisker is trying to open. But we have to get that door open, because if we don't, if that door is shut and that door stays shut, it's over for Fisker. There is no continuing for Fisker if Magna is not producing the Ocean, in my opinion. What else could we come up with? Okay, somebody agrees to produce the Ocean here in the United States. Okay, maybe that's a possibility. We get the tax credit, but my gosh, how long would that be before you could get a factory up and running? 12 months, 18 months. So, those are things that we have to do. I think privately, collectively, or bringing in a buyer, or all three of those would be step 2 once we get past the note holder. These are just my best guesses. All right, let's go on to step 3. Step 3. I think this is a big one, and I think it would take some swallowing of some pride. I think Henrik and Gita should give up some control. If you understand the share structure with Fisker, Fisker has what's called Class B shares. And Class B shares, going by memory, I think they have a 10-to-1 voting right. I'd have to look that up to be 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's 10-to-1. So they've always been able to easily outvote anybody else, because Henrik and Gita both own, I think it's roughly 67, 68 million shares a piece. So, then you multiply that by 10 for voting rights, and they can easily outvote anybody. Unless we go up to, like 4 billion shares. Once we start getting into that territory, yes, they could potentially get outvoted. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm not even going to throw that in this video, because I'm not sure what that looks like there. I'm not going down the reverse split here. That may happen, but that's not one of my things to address this, because even if we do the reverse split, okay, I'm just going to toss that out there. Even if we do a 50-for-1, we're still not in compliance. We'll be bumping right up against $1, and then maybe we're potentially 99 cents, and then all of this starts over. So I do think that Henrik and Gita do need to give up some of their control to entice a buyer to come in, to entice a private entity to come in, to entice the note holder to think that there are better days ahead. And maybe, just maybe, there are some very wealthy people on the board of directors. Maybe you talk to Bill McDermott and you give him some control of the company and let him start calling the shots. Because quite honestly, Henrik and Gita have gotten us into this mess. And so, I think the right thing to do, no matter where you fall on that, is you allow new leadership to lead you out of this mess. I think that's pretty much how every company in the past has done this, and I think that's what Fisker should do here. So those are my thoughts, my top 3 so far. So let's continue. Number 4 leads me right into the next segment, or the next segue, however you want to word that. Gita has to step down. She is currently the chief financial operator and officer, and she is also the chief operating officer. She holds those 2 roles, and I think it's pretty safe to say that our operations have been a mess. I also think it's pretty safe to say that our financials have been a mess. She has missed 2 filings in a row. Anybody else, bar none, that would have missed 1 filing would have most likely gotten canned right then. to miss 2 filings in a row, oh my gosh. I think the only thing that saved her was being Henrik's wife. I mean, how else do you get around that? Okay. We can dance around that all that we want to, but I think at the end of the day, we have to accept that those two are married, and that's the only reason that she was allowed to stay in her current position. So I think as a confidence booster, you bring in a new chief operating officer and you bring in a new chief financial officer, and Geeta steps down. Now, I am not naive enough to think that Geeta should leave the company. I'm sure she is very talented. I'm sure she's got a very unique set of skills, but those skills have not served the shareholders nor the company well up to this point. It's been a train wreck. So that's where we are, and that would be step number 4. Geeta steps down. Number 5 would be restarting production. If we could see that Fisker can restart production with Magna, they could project that, we all feel pretty confident about it, then I think, you start seeing a tremendous rally in the share price. Probably, okay? You never know with Wall Street, okay, but probably. But that, we have to get to restarting production. If we don't get to restarting production, I don't see how you slice that pie in any way that doesn't end up in bankruptcy for Fisker. Because, where does the money come from? It's not going to happen. So number 5 has to be restarting production. And I would like very much for Fisker to show us how that is possible. Now, we know, going by memory, I don't have any notes in front of me, okay? I'm just talking. I can do this without notes. But we know that Fisker said they were going to pause production, and I'm pretty sure it was for 6 weeks, okay? I think the date was March the 18th. I'd have to go back. Okay, you guys can correct me in the comments, find this stuff, okay? I'm just talking. But, okay, so we have 6 weeks from that date. How confident is Magna that Fisker can and will restart production? So I think we have to convince them, we have to convince the note holder, we have to convince the shareholders that that's something that we can and we will do. And I would love to see Fisker get in front of this and explain this to everybody. Maybe they don't know, maybe they can't yet, but these are my suggestions so far. All right, let's go on to number 6. Number 6 is Henrik steps down also as well. I think we need that. I think that's where we are. I think too many mistakes have been made. I think Henrik is a fantastic designer. I think he has worked his butt off trying to get us where we are. But at the end of the day, where we are is the problem. Let that sink in. Where we are is the problem. So I think Henrik's got to go too. Now, again, I'm not naive enough to think that Henrik needs to leave the company. He should definitely play a role, designing these vehicles, because he is a class act masterpiece on designing vehicles. But we need to bring in a new chief executive officer, a new CEO. So let's do that. Let's bring in a new CEO. If we bring in a new CEO, I think that would just add tremendous confidence for the direction of the company. That doesn't mean that Henrik and Geeta are left out. That doesn't mean that their name drops off the company. That simply means that we have new management. We have new leadership. And I think if Fisker were to do these 6 things, potentially in this order, I think we could see a dramatic turnaround in the company. Now, all of this may be too late. I fully admit that. Fisker may be 100% on the path for bankruptcy, and there's no getting around that. But until we are officially declared bankrupt, and it's officially over, the courts have decided, what's going to happen, stuff like that. I think our number 1 priority as shareholders, as owners of the company, is to fight for this company to survive. I think that's our number 1 focus, and that's why I did this video. And Fisker, if you are out there and you're watching this, if you have better ideas, share them with us, okay? Let us know what you are doing and what you plan to do. Let us know, because At the end of the day, I think every shareholder and I think every Fisker Ocean owner wants one thing, and that's simply for Fisker to survive. Because if Fisker survives, we know that there, are better days ahead. We know that the oceans can get better, the software can be updated, they can be serviced, and Fisker could turn into a revenue generating machine instead of, being another Lordstown Motors, or somebody else that has gone, bankrupt here. So, Fisker, if you're listening, maybe take some of this to heart, and if you have better suggestions, please let us know what they are. All right, guys, thanks for joining in, and these are my top 6 things for Fisker to survive. If you have better suggestions, drop them in the comments below, and maybe we can have a conversation about that. And as always, I appreciate you joining in, and if you like this video, hit the like button. Always hit the like button unless you just didn't like the video, okay? It helps others find my content, and it helps spread the word about Fisker. And on an ending note, I am almost exactly 6,700 miles, I think it is, or 6,800 miles on the ocean. It's been such a joy to drive. It's just been so fun. And if any of you are trying to get an Ocean, drop those in the comments too and let us know how that goes. All right, guys, thanks a lot. And until next time.